Welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to share with you my Ignister deck profile, which is a deck that I really enjoy. I'm very happy with the support they got from Lightning Overdrive. I know it's been like few months already, like 5 months they got the support, but we finally got the reprints, or should I say like a month ago, the reprints from the Megatons, which kind of help the deck being more accessible for everyone. Now of course, access code is still expensive, but in Maximum Gold we should be able to get it for a relevantly okay price. If not, there's still a budget alternative option, which we'll talk about when we'll get to the extra deck. But yeah, this deck is really cool. It's very straightforward and very fun. It's basically based on this big boss monster, and the rest you're playing with your hand traps in your hand, with supporting that boss monster with cards in your graveyard, which is really cool. But before we jump right into the video itself, let me say to you that if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you also enjoyed the video, give a like. And if you also want to let me know what you think or questions that you have, let me know in the comments down below in a civilized way. What do you think should change for, in your opinion, or what do you think is something that you want to ask and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much that for the starting of the video. Now let's jump right into the deck profile itself. Alright, so jumping right into the list itself, we're going to start things off with the standard lineup of monsters, which is 3 copies of Achichi Ignister, 3 copies of Picari Ignister, and 2 copies of Doyon Ignister. Now, Doyon is probably the only one that some people kind of like feel maybe you need to run 1, maybe you need to run 2. I like to run 2 just because I like the card and I like the recovery, but mostly the point of Doyon is to be your ultra recovery boy, because on summon it's recover any Ignister monster, and then when it's sent to the graveyard as a link summon for a Cybers monster, it's able to recover any of your ice spells and traps directly from your graveyard to your hand, which is an absolutely amazing and becomes a very nice thing in the grind game. In the case of the other 2, Achichi is your searcher for monsters, and it's also have a nice grave effect that sometimes come up, mostly not, and then Picari is your spells and trap searcher for Ignister. And then it's also have the effect to make another Ignister monster level 4, which it does come up sometimes if you want to make the rank 4, so do keep that in mind when you're playing the deck. But that's pretty much it for those. These are pretty simple for these. The deck is really simple as a straightforward overall. And then we have the one-offs, which are the Gachiri, the Danmari, the Bururu, which is part of the combo, and then the 1 copy of Hiyari to be your water if you need to. Now the point is like this. Gachiri is a card that is supposed to be your earth, or a card that you can search with Hiyari, which is really cool, because Hiyari effect says that she can tribute any other search monster, and then add to your hand a level 5 or higher Ignister monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, this card has become level 4. And then if you tribute a Link monster, you can also add a Ritual spell, but we don't really use this for that. The point is, it's like, if we want to, you can tribute any other thing. This will get added to your hand, which will become another extender, or even if you want to, you can add this. Mostly you're not going to do that because you want to dump this card to the graveyard with the Bururu, but the point is, this is still able to search this, so it's really nice. But by itself, it's also another extender, because if you control an Ignister monster, this is the free body, which is really cool. Bururu is mostly here because, like I said, it's supposed to dump this and it's part of the combo. It's a tune level 3 that on summon, it's dump any Ignister monster from the deck to the graveyard, and when it's sent to graveyard for a sync or summon of a Cybers monster, it's able to revive the other material from the graveyard, one of the other materials to the graveyard. So you revive one of your level 4s because you summon the Wind Pegasus Ignister, which is really cool. Then Danmari have another effect in hand, which is mostly not going to be used. The most important thing is the effect in the graveyard, is that while you control a Link 6 or monster, quick effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard and target one face-up monster or one face-up card your opponent control, negates effect, so this has become an interruption in the graveyard with your big wall arrival Cybers, so that's why it's really important. And then Gachiri is just a free body by negating a Cybers monster effect from your hand, like you search this with the Hiyari, you negate the Hiyari on summon of this, and then if this sent to graveyard, you get to target another monster, and it's unaffected by stuff, so that is really good, or should I say protected. So that's really good, and that's why you also want to run the 1 copy of, Gachiri Ignister, which is really cool of a card. And that does it for your monsters. Now we'll move on into the hand traps. Yes, that's right, you only run 12 monsters, technically 11 if you want to run Doyon at 1. The rest of the cards in the monster departments are hand traps, which is a 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 2 Nibiru, and I also like to run 2 Ghost Bell in Haunted Mansion because I don't have the money for things like Crossout Designator and triple Tactic Talent, so I run this instead of in other cards as well. So Ghost Bell is just another hand trap, which is really cool, and it's not a common hand trap, so people don't really run out for this with things like Crossout Designator, so that's why I also like to run this card. Now these are pretty important and very, very good. These are like, you know, the best hand traps these format or just in general. Nibiru is just generally a blow-up card. It's also a problematic card for you if it gets used on you, unfortunately, but, you know, it is what it is. And then these two are just the standard hand traps that everybody like to use. But that's pretty much does it for the monsters. Now we'll move on into the spells. And for the spells, this is where there are going to be a little bit more explanation, I think. We have triple copies of Ignister Island, 1 copy of Terraforming, and then the 1 copy of Eye Contact for your field spell package. Ignister Island is a very, very important card, which you have to run at 3. There was a debate back in the day because now we have a Searcher in the extra deck to run at 2, but the card is so important that you have to see it, either in your hand, or if your opponent will try to negate your ability to add it to your hand, you still want to have it in your hand. So you want to have 1 copy of this in your hand to then activate it, and then this allowing you that if you control no monster in the main monster zone, you get to special summon 1 level 4 or lower Ignister monster from your hand, but for the rest of the turn you cannot special summon anything but Cybers, and you can continue to use this effect, but not for the same attribute. So for example, let's say I have an Achichi and a Picari. I have an Achichi, I turn it into a Link 1, then I can summon the Picari directly from my hand with this effect, which is really, really powerful. And then you can also banish, you know, if this is in the graveyard, you can banish 1 Ignister card in your, or should I say monster in your graveyard, and then you can set this card to your field. So basically you only need the 1 copy, just in general. And then Terraforming is supposed to be the 4th copy of the card. Now you might ask yourself, because this card is just a one-off, or should I say like a card that you only want once, why not just run 1 or 2 copies of this? You don't really need to run way too many of this because it doesn't really give you any advantage. Well, there is a card that just, like I said, it's really important enough to see it, but you don't want to see it way too much, so that's why we also have Eye Contact, which is basically if you have an Ignister Island and an Ignister in your hand, you get to put the Ignister Island in your hand to the bottom of the deck, and then you get to draw 3 cards, so it also becomes a +1, and you get rid of the cards that you don't want, which is really cool. So, you know, you get to refresh half of your hand, basically, and you get to put the other copy that in your hand to the bottom of the deck and draw the other cards that you want to. So your chances of drawing into it are very, very low because you only have another additional copy. So yeah, this is really much your field spell package, which needed a little bit more explanation. And then for your other spells, we have 3 copies of Silent Mining. This one is self-explanatory. You discard any card you search a Cybers, level 4 or lower. Then we have 3 copies of I Meet You, and then 2 copies of I Reborn, Idol Reborn, which are the other Ignister cards, or should I say I Spell and Traps. Idol Reborn is your monster reborn, obviously, for your Ignister monsters in your graveyard. You special summon it, but you cannot special summon monster for the rest of the turn except Cybers monsters. You can also, when attack is declared, you get to, involving 2 monsters, you can banish this card from the graveyard, and then 1 card from your hand, and then target 1 of your banished I Spells and Traps, or in your graveyard, and then you get to add it back to your hand, which is nice because you are able to recover what you need. Then I Meet You, which is, I think, the name in the OCG, which why I keep saying this, was I First Meet You. I First Met You. But the point is like, I Meet You is a great card. You get to reveal any Cybers monster with 2300 from your hand or your extra deck. And then you search an Ignister monster with the same attribute. So you have, basically, let's say you reveal the fire, you search Achichi. You reveal the light, you search Picari, which is really, really good. Now, you do take damage if you don't special summon that monster, but you don't really care about that because you are going to special summon that monster, so that is really powerful. And these are your 9th and 12 copies of additional starters, so that is really powerful as a thing. And also, the last card I forgot about is the 1 copy of Coldblooded Grave, because we don't want our opponent to stop our plays as much as possible. Now, again, if you have the copies of Crossout Designator, and of course also triple Tactic Talents, place those here and play some particular hand traps instead as those cards, but I don't have those cards, so I'm playing the Coldblooded Grave instead. And then for your traps, 3 Infirms for additional interruptions, hand trap, and 1 copy of Imperial Order, which will be just a nice blow-up card, because I really like this card. I didn't really have anything else that I wanted to run, so I decided to run Imperial Order instead. But that does it for the main deck, pretty straightforward. Now we'll move on into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start things off with the Link Ones, which will run 1 copy of Link Spider and double copies of Dark Infant ad Ignister. This is the only lineup of Link ones that I wanted to run. I wanted to run Lingaribo, but I felt like Link Spider is a little bit better, because if I'm getting Nibiru'd, I will at least have the ability to get rid of the token, make it the Link Spider if I have Ignister Island, and still go out with my plays and not get locked out of everything because I don't have the ability to get rid of the token. So Link Spider just came up a little bit more. Dark Infant is the card that I mentioned that basically allowing you to search Ignister Island on summon. It's also have another effect that it's basically when a Cyverse monster with 2300 original attack activates its effect, you can move this card to a main zone this card's points to, which is also really cool, and then you get to change its attribute. And the point is like this card works really well with a card called Dark Templar, that when you summon a monster to its zones, it's able to special summon level 4 or lower Art Ignister monsters from your graveyard, up to the numbers that, like, you know, zones that you have 3. So basically the point of this is that you summon it for its left, right most zone, and then you just move it, and then you have 3 zones. Now, when you see in the combo, you're not always going to use this effect, or even use the second copy of this for the combo, as I'm going to show to you why. But the point is, it's still something very nice that you can do, and you can get a very big Arrival Cyvers if you're able to do that, so that is kind of really cool. Then for your Link 2s, 1 Widget Kid for the combo, 1 Security Dragon for the combo, not for the combo, for just in general, 2 Sploosh Mage, and 1 Update Jammer. Update Jammer is obviously self-explanatory. Splash Mage is just a great card. That's 1 unit for the combo, 1 for the OTK. And then Widget Kid, like Wicked, is here because it's here to help you banish a Cyverse from your graveyard to then search your Bururu, which is a tuner. And then Security Dragon is another card that's supposed to help you against things like Nibiru, because you can take the token and another card if you already have another card you control and you didn't normal summon or something, and then you can just link off into this, so that's able to unclog your spells and or should say your main monster zone if you have to. It's also have another nice effect when you know, it's co-linked. Once when it's on the field, you get to bounce something, but mostly I think you use this as a card that just requires 2 monsters to link summon, and it's a Cyvers. That's kind of its main function, at least for me. And then for your Link 3s, Transcode, Phoenix, and Dark Templar. Mostly these cards are here to help you search the ad Ignister equivalents that you need to with I Meet You. Dark Templar is important for the combo because, like I said, it's allowing you to special summon things back when you summon to its zones. Phoenix, you're mostly not going to use it anything by just being a searcher. And then Transcode is just good for the OTK plays that you can do going second. And then for your last 2 Link monsters, which are the big ones, Avermax is here right now instead of Access Code. And then we have 1 copy of Arrival Cyvers, which is the big boss monsters that you want to sit on, which is like the towers that you have, which is really strong. But mostly Avermax here, if I have the copy, you will, in the future, when I will get the copy from the Maximum Gold, this will be Access Code, because Access Code is so much better for OTK tools. But for now, Avermax is not as bad as a replacement option. But this card is so amazing, it's unaffected by anything. It can become from 3,000 to 6,000, which is insane. And then this card is just really powerful. Unfortunately, its effect is not a quick effect, but it's still a very strong card. And then for your last 2 extra deck monsters, 1 Synchro and 1 Xyz, Light Dragon and Wind Pegasus. Wind Pegasus is mostly used here not as a back removal, but it's affecting the graveyard. So if your opponent will remove this, you'll still get to spin something back, which is amazing. And then this card is just used as just another name to get Picari if you need to, or just in general, this card does allow you to break sometimes boards by itself, because, or just not by itself, but like depending on the numbers of Ignister monsters you control, you can detach a material and pop cards, which is sometimes really cool. I also don't really understand why this was the face card for Ignition Assault and not the Dark Templar, but that's beyond me, I don't know. It's just something that I always wondered. But that does it for the Ignister lineup of monsters and does it for the deck profile as a whole. Now we'll move on into the basic combo that I think is pretty important for you to know playing this deck, because this combo is not like super difficult, but it's a one card combo that every Ignister player need to know when to play the deck. And the funny thing is, most of your combos really just require one card. It's just really if your opponent stop you, that is when you require a different amount of cards to deal with that and continue, continue your plays. But mostly, you just require one card, which you'll see in the combo section, or should I say in the combo that I'm going to show to you if you don't know how to play the deck. Alright, so welcome into the combo. And for the combo itself, this is going to be the basic one-card combo that everybody should know when they're playing the deck, which require you to open up with at least one of these cards in your hand, which either I Meet You, Signet Mining, Picari Ignister, or a Chi-Chi Ignister. If you open up with any of these, you basically have a one-card combo. It's a little bit more different when Signet Mining and I Meet You, because the sequences are going to be different. This one is just going to be additional discard in your hand, so it's technically going to be 1.5 card combo. And this one is going to change a little bit of that dynamic if it's your only starter card. But the combo is achievable with opening up with one of any of these. The standard one that you want to try and do is basically with either with a Chi-Chi or Picari, because the Picari will search the I Meet You, which will search this if you open up with a Picari, and then this will search the Doyon. Or if you open up with this, which you will see in the combo, this is the standard way to play. And that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with the Chi-Chi as our starting card. So starting things off, obviously, because we only have this in our hand, we're going to normal summon the Chi-Chi. And the Chi-Chi is going to grab the Picari. We're then going to link the Chi-Chi off into the, Dark Infant Ignister. And Dark Infant Ignister is going to add from our deck to our hand the Ignister Island. Then, what we're going to do is pretty simple. We're going to activate the Ignister Island and start this card Extravaganza Crazy Effect, basically. Because this card is just going to allow us to just special summon so many cards to our side of the field. The first one is obviously the Picari. We're going to use the effect of this because we didn't summon a light, we summoned the Picari, and we don't have any monster in our main monster zone, so we summon the Picari. Picari effect will trigger, give us the I Meet You, and then we're going to link these two off into the link to Wicked. Then, what we're going to do is that we're going to activate the effect of I Meet You, reveal to our opponent the Dark Templar Ignister, or if you have it also access code. Because it's a dark, we get to add from our deck to our hand the Doyon Ignister. Next, we're going to use the effect of Ignister Island again, because we didn't special summon a dark, we're going to special summon the Doyon, and that will trigger the effect of Wicked, which we're going to have Chainlink 1 Wicked, Chainlink 2 Doyon. Doyon will grab specifically back from your graveyard to your hand the Chi-Chi Ignister, and then the effect of Wicked will allow us to banish the Dark Infant from our graveyard, and then add from our deck to our hand the Bururu Ignister. Next, we're going to link these two off into the Splash Mage, triggering the effect of Doyon because it was used for a link summon of a Cyverse monster. We'll get to add to our hand back the I Meet You. And then we're going to use the effect of Ignister Island effect again to special summon this time a win from our hand, which is going to be Bururu Ignister. Bururu effect will allow us to send to our graveyard the Dunmari. And then we're going to use finally Splash Mage effect to special summon the Doyon or Picari from your graveyard. It just have to be a level 4. We're then going to synchro these two off into the level 7 Wind Pegasus Ignister, triggering the effect of Bururu in the graveyard to special summon back the Doyon out of our graveyard. Then we're going to link these three off as a materials, special summon the Dark Templar Ignister. Now we're going to activate the Ignister Island effect, special summon the Chi-Chi from your hand, and then we could technically use the effect of, not use the effect of Dark Templar and instead just link it to the second copy of, Dark Infant, move it here, and then bring out an Arrival Cyverse with 5,000. However, the difference between a 4,000 to a 5,000 most of the time doesn't really matter. If your opponent is going to have an access code, he's already just going to remove it regardless, so it's kind of like, I don't really like to use this. It's really dependent on the matchup, but mostly in a standard play, I would like to leave this in my extra deck, so I'll have the ability to use this next turn as another starter for my play, so that's why I'm only not using this to, you know, summon another copy of this and then trigger the discard effect, because it's really not that necessary. So what we're going to do right now is pretty simple. We're going to trigger the effect of Dark Templar, as I mentioned before, and you specifically want to summon from your graveyard the different attributes, which are going to be wind and light, which that's why I said you don't really want to banish your Picari. So we're going to banish the Picari, special summon the Picari, and special summon the Buru. We have 4 monsters that will equal into a Link 6, which are light, wind, fire, and dark. Together are all going to make the Arrival Cybers with the 4 counters, or should I say, like, you know, the 4,000 attack, and, you know, unaffected by anything. And that's how you're going to pass the turn to your opponent. With additional 4 cards in your hand, which could be any hand trap or anything, I Meet You, which still is able to kind of recycle your entire hand, like you didn't use anything, you still get a card back into your hand, so you still have 5, so you have another kind of play for next turn. And you also have, beside of all of that, 2 interruptions in the graveyard, which are these 2. Dunmari is when you want it to, because you control a Link 6, and Wind Pegasus, if they remove this, you just use the effect to spin something back. So this is a really insane card, because it's also, like, even if they remove this with an access code, right, you can always just, like, oh, when they do that during the battle phase, you just put this there, like, banish it, and then this will just spin the access code, and they will not be able to just kill you, because they have to go over this regardless, so you just basically spin whatever you want to back, so that is really cool. And the reason why I said, like, you only need 4 counters, because most of the time, access code is going to be 5,300 and not 43, so that's why, like, getting this into 5 counters doesn't really matter that much, so that's why I'm okay with this. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the basic combo that you need to know when you're playing this deck. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The point is you're trying to get to Arrival Cybers with the 2 interruptions in graveyard, and you still have 4 cards in your hand and another card that you technically got back, so that is really, really cool. But that does it for the combo itself. Now let's move on into the next deck choices for the video. Alright, so the next deck choices, just like last time, as I mentioned, if I'm not at home at the time of recording of this video, basically these are going to be the choices, which are going to be Vendrids, Magistus, Virtual Worlds, and PK. These are going to be the 4 options for the next choice, which should become after Metalfoes. So these are the things that I mentioned. So yeah, just like the last 2 videos, like I said, I'm not at home, so unfortunately I cannot really test Metalfoes for the time being, so I want to go with something a little bit more simpler. But that's pretty much it for the video as an overall. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it helped you a little bit if you don't know the deck, or just, you know, refresh your memory. Or if you want to pick this from the Megatins, that's also really nice. And if you enjoy this deck a lot and you like the playstyle, this is a really cool deck to pick from the Megatins. And it's pretty budget. There are the additional hand traps that you can add or other cards that are expensive, but overall the deck is pretty, you know, accessible. So that is really nice. But that pretty much does it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.